Somewhere in a storage unit right now, there's a sealed video game cartridge sitting next to a handmade Monopoly board from the 30s, and together, they're worth more than the building they're stored in. The collector market doesn't care what category your childhood obsession fell into, because everything from die-cast cars to electronic memory games has a price tag now. The only question is whether your family kept any of it. I'm Mike with List 25, and these are 25 childhood items that accidentally became collector's gold. 25. Vintage Fisher-Price Little People. The original wooden Fisher-Price Little People from the 60s and 70s have quietly become collectibles worth far more than anyone expected. These simple cylindrical figures with painted faces were designed as safe toys for toddlers, and millions of families owned at least one Play Family set. Parents bought them because they were sturdy and affordable. Nobody was thinking about resale value when their kid was gnawing on a little wooden farmer. The figures survived being chewed on, thrown across rooms, and dragged through sandboxes without breaking. Complete sets with all original pieces now command anywhere from $200 at auction, and rare configurations can push past $5,000 depending on condition. The transition from wood to plastic in the late 80s created a clear dividing line that collectors recognize immediately. Finding sets where no pieces went missing under couches or through vacuum cleaners requires considerable luck. The kids who kept everything organized accidentally did their future selves a huge favor. I had the plastic versions. With the barn door, when it opened, it went Mrrr. That's probably supposed to be a cow. I'm assuming that's what it was mimicking. 24. Vintage Stratego sets. Stratego has been teaching kids the art of bluffing and battlefield strategy since the 40s. The game challenges two players to outmaneuver each other by deploying pieces with hidden ranks, combining memory skills with psychological warfare that got surprisingly intense during family game nights. Sets from the 60s through the 80s now fetch just over $1,000 when all original pieces are intact. The game required keeping track of 40 pieces per player, and losing even one meant the set was incomplete. Early versions featured beautifully designed wooden or sturdy plastic pieces that felt substantial in ways later editions never matched. Collectors prize these materials because they represent an era when toy makers built things to last. The game that siblings fought over during rainy afternoons has transformed into genuine collector territory. 23. Complete Colorforms sets. Colorforms were vinyl stickers that kids could arrange and rearrange on illustrated backgrounds. The pieces peeled off easily, scenes could change on a whim, and everything packed flat for storage. They were ideal for car trips and quiet afternoons when parents needed kids to stay occupied without making a mess. Early sets from the 50s through the 70s often featured popular TV shows and cartoon characters. That cultural significance pushed them beyond simple toy status. Sets featuring shows that only aired for a season or two became especially rare. Complete sets in excellent condition with original packaging now sell for up to $700, and certain rare themes push well past $1,000. The vinyl held up surprisingly well over time, but finding sets where kids didn't lose half the pieces requires serious patience. Most Colorforms ended up with missing pieces scattered across back seats and bedroom floors within weeks of being opened. 22. Original Bop It units. When Bop It showed up in the late 90s, it became an instant phenomenon. The game tested reflexes and memory by shouting commands faster and faster until someone inevitably messed up. The electronic voice became iconic, and the frantic pace made it impossible to play quietly. Siblings and friends competed relentlessly at sleepovers, passing the thing around until somebody cracked under pressure. The game had a way of turning casual hangouts into intense competitions. First-gen models in pristine condition have attracted collectors who remember those battles. The original design had a charm that later versions couldn't replicate. Mint condition examples with original packaging have sold for upwards of $300 at auction. That price keeps climbing as nostalgia for peak 90s toys intensifies among buyers who grew up during that era. The kids who wore out their Bop Its wish they'd been a little gentler. Bop it. Twist it. What was it? Pull it? The first one I think it was just Bop it, twist it, pull it. I think the first one just had the 3. Let me know if I'm wrong. Other ones had more, but I think the original just had the 3. The twist it was at the bottom, the pull it... No, twist it was at the top, pull it at the bottom, bop it was the big circle in the middle. That was it. 21. 1980s Viewmaster Reels. The Viewmaster has been around since the 30s, but sets from the 40s through the 80s hold a special place in the collector market. Those red plastic viewers with their circular picture reels let kids see 3D images of everything, from national parks to cartoon characters. Before video games and streaming, this was cutting-edge entertainment. Original reels featuring popular characters or significant historical events are the real prize. Complete sets with original packaging can sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on the subject matter and condition. Rare editions and discontinued character reels drive the highest prices. Reels tied to shows or movies that flopped often become the scarcest because fewer were produced in the first place. The technology seems almost quaint now, but the nostalgia factor keeps collectors coming back. Those plastic discs hold memories that digital screens can't replace. I loved mine. A lot of Disney ones in mine, shockingly. 20. Original Simon Memory Game. Milton Bradley introduced Simon in 1978, and it became an iconic piece of 80s childhood almost immediately. The handheld electronic toy challenged players to memorize and repeat increasingly complex sequences of lights and sounds. The 4 colored panels lit up in patterns that started simple and grew impossibly difficult. Everyone remembered the sting of failing at level 12 right when they thought they had it mastered. Early or first-gen units in excellent condition have become prized by collectors. The innovative design represented genuine electronic gaming before home consoles took over living rooms. Vintage Simon games can command hundreds of dollars at auction, and exceptional examples with original packaging push past $1,000. The ones worth serious money are almost always units that got stored away before the batteries could leak and destroy everything inside. Battery corrosion has ruined more vintage electronics than actual use ever did. 19. Rare Majorette cars. Majorette, the iconic French brand of die-cast toy cars, has delighted children since the 60s. Most models were everyday toys that got scraped across floors, crashed into walls, and were lost under couches permanently. Kids raced them down driveways and launched them off homemade ramps. Nobody treated them like anything precious. Certain rare models and limited editions have quietly skyrocketed in value. Mint condition cars with original packaging fetch hundreds of dollars, and exceptional examples push past $1,000. Color variations and production errors make some versions significantly more valuable than standard releases. The ones worth money were almost always forgotten in boxes rather than actively played with. Collectors across Europe now hunt for pristine examples that somehow survived decades of childhood chaos. 18. Choro-Q Pullback cars. Choro-Q cars first rolled out in late 1978 from Takara and quickly became a cultural staple in Japan. Their distinctive super deformed design featured short, chunky bodies with oversized wheels, and the simple pullback motors made them fast and endlessly satisfying to race across any smooth surface. In North America, they were marketed as penny racers. The lineup spanned real-world vehicles, fantasy designs, and anime tie-ins, creating enormous variety over the decades. Collaborations with car manufacturers and entertainment franchises produced limited runs that became instant collectibles. While originally cheap enough for pocket money purchases, early releases and limited editions have become increasingly collectible. Rare versions in original packaging now sell for around $1,000, depending on the model. Premium collector versions from the Choro-Q Zero line typically range from $20 to $30 each, with rarer pieces commanding significantly more. 17. Pippa Dolls. Pippa was a pocket-sized fashion doll produced by British toy maker Palitoy between 1972 and 1980. Standing just 6.5 inches tall, she was marketed as the pocket money fashion doll that puts fashion in your pocket. Her small size meant production costs stayed lower than those of competitors like Cindy and Barbie. That affordability made her accessible to families who couldn't splurge on pricier alternatives. Over time, box dolls, complete with original outfits and accessories, have become highly collectible, particularly in the UK market. Some rare Pippa dolls have sold for as much as $1,700 in recent years. Finding complete sets with all the tiny accessories intact requires some serious dedication, since most Pippas lost their shoes and extra outfits within months of being opened. The smaller the accessories, the faster they vanished into the carpet and heating vents. 16. Takara Microman figures. Microman figures are highly sought-after 3.75-inch action figures produced by Takara between 1974 and 2007. These sci-fi figures were renowned for engineering decades ahead of their time, with later models featuring over 30 points of articulation, when most competitors could barely manage a dozen. Chrome-plated heads, magnetic feet, and modular body parts encouraged customization and creative play. Kids could swap parts between figures to create entirely new characters. The line's innovative design philosophy directly influenced Takara's later success with the Transformers franchise. Complete figures with original packaging command premium prices worldwide. The most expensive Microman toy to sell at auction was a Gun Robo Browning that fetched $3,500, with an action figure authority grade of 90. That professional verification has become essential for high-value sales. 15. Rare Panini stickers. Panini sticker albums have been a staple of childhood collecting for decades. Most stickers were common enough that kids traded them freely among friends, and the hunt for that last missing sticker to complete a page drove countless playground negotiations. The phrase got, need became universal shorthand. But every now and then, someone finds a sticker worth more than their car. A Diego Maradona rookie sticker sold at auction for £470,000 in 2021. The photo showed him at 19, years before he lifted the World Cup. Messi cards have hit six figures too. Complete 1970 World Cup albums go for €4,000 to €6,000 when all the stickers are still in place. Kids slap these things into albums without a second thought. Now, auction houses treat them like fine art. 14. 1980s Skateboard Art Decks. During the 80s, skateboarding exploded in popularity, and skateboards with vibrant art decks became cultural icons that defined an entire generation. Artists like Vernon Cortland Johnson and Jim Phillips created designs that felt rebellious and dangerous. Parents hated them, which only made kids want them more. Kids rode them until the artwork scraped off completely. Nobody treated them as future collectibles because they were tools meant to be destroyed through use. Well-preserved 80s boards from brands like Paulo Peralta and Santa Cruz now fetch hundreds to thousands of dollars at auction. One 1984 Rob Roscop deck that somehow stayed in near mint condition went for nearly $15,000. Tony Hawk's historic 900 board fetched $1.15 million at auction. Anyone lucky enough to have stored one in the garage instead of grinding it down accidentally made a great decision. 13. Royal Blue Peanut Beanie Baby. The Royal Blue Peanut Beanie Baby is a rare version of the classic Peanut Elephant produced by Thai Inc. in the 90s. What made this plush exceptionally valuable is a manufacturing mistake. The dark royal blue color was supposed to be light blue, and only a small number shipped before the error was corrected. Those accidental releases became instant rarities that collectors now hunt obsessively. Some examples have sold for thousands of dollars at auction or private sales. Condition, tag presence, and error type heavily influence the value, and authentication has become critical before any serious money changes hands. Counterfeit Beanie Babies have flooded the market over the years. Most kids who owned one had no idea their stuffed animal would eventually be worth more than their first car. They just thought it was a cute blue elephant. 12. 1935 Irish 2D Coil Stamp. Long after being stuck in children's stamp albums, one of Ireland's most elusive postage stamps quietly transformed into a collector's treasure. The 1935 Irish 2D Coil was originally produced experimentally, with imperforated sides, and was never widely released. Most were used for postage and thrown away like any other stamp. Kids who collected stamps in the mid-20th century might have acquired one without realizing what they had. Very few mint versions survive today. Fine mint examples sell for around £9,000, which is roughly $11,000 or more at auction. The stamp's rarity comes from its experimental nature and the fact that almost nobody thought to preserve it. With only a couple of dozen known mint copies, a pristine 2D Coil can redefine a childhood stamp collection's worth overnight. Grandpa's old stamp album might be hiding something extraordinary. 11. Early Playmobil sets. Playmobil showed up in 1974 and gave kids something different from building blocks. These little figures with their permanent smiles came with tiny accessories that fit their tiny hands perfectly. Knights got swords and shields, pirates got parrots and treasure chests, and construction workers got hard hats and miniature tools. The details were ridiculous for the price. Parents loved that the toys encouraged storytelling instead of just stacking things on top of one another. Sets from that first decade have gotten expensive. Sealed boxes with every piece intact can push around $8,000. Collectors pay premium prices for those early figurines because the craftsmanship hasn't been matched since. The moms and dads who picked these up at toy stores had no clue they were buying something that would outperform their retirement accounts. 10. Original handmade Monopoly sets. Long before mass production turned Monopoly into a staple of family game nights, the game was crafted by hand. Charles Darrow assembled each early set meticulously in the 30s, creating unique boards, hand-drawn cards, and personalized game pieces. No two sets were exactly alike. These handmade editions are extremely rare. Most were played with until they fell apart, and survivors often ended up in attics or landfills. Collectors prize them as pieces of Americana and design history, representing the origin of one of the world's most iconic board games. Because so few survive in good condition, their value has skyrocketed into the tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Owning one is like holding the original blueprint of a game that's been played billions of times since. The families who kept them had no idea what they were preserving. 9. Vintage Dinky Toys collection. Old toy lovers in the UK were stunned when a nostalgic Dinky Toys collection fetched nearly £90,000, nearly $110,000 at auction. These die-cast model vehicles were once simple playthings found in toy boxes and playgrounds everywhere. They were mass-produced and sold cheaply at corner shops. Kids crashed them together, lost them under furniture, and generally destroyed them through normal play. That's exactly why survivors in good condition are worth so much now. Scarcity drives value. A single Dinky Toys 101 Thunderbird's Thunderbird 2 achieved a record price of over £2,500. The connection to beloved TV shows pushed certain models into premium territory. The kid who carefully organized their collection instead of smashing it into walls accidentally made one of the best financial decisions of their childhood. 8. Kenner Star Wars Early Bird Certificate. When Star Wars fever hit in 1977, Kenner wasn't ready for the demand. The toys weren't manufactured in time for Christmas, and millions of kids had to wait for their action figures to arrive months later. The company scrambled to meet demand that nobody had predicted. Parents bought empty boxes with certificates promising the toys would come eventually. Most families redeemed those certificates immediately, eager to finally get the figures. The few early bird certificate packages that survived unopened have become valuable collector pieces. While millions of figures were produced over the following years, certain rare versions and prototypes have become extremely valuable. A 1978 Luke Skywalker with a double telescoping lightsaber sold for over $25,000. The rarest Star Wars toys now command prices that would have seemed absurd when the movie first came out. 7. First edition holographic Charizard. First edition Pokemon cards from the late 90s are among the most coveted collectibles in the trading card world. and the holographic Charizard sits at the top of that list. The fire-breathing dragon became the ultimate status. He's not a dragon though, but you know what I mean. He became the ultimate status symbol. He's not classified as a dragon anyway. He became the ultimate status symbol on elementary school playgrounds. The first edition stamp signifies the card came from the initial print run, making it far rarer than the millions of subsequent copies. An ungraded first edition sells for around $1,700. Send it to PSA, Professional Sports Authenticator, a service that grades card condition, and a perfect score can push the value to $320,000. What kids traded on playgrounds for other cards has become an investment asset that rivals traditional stocks. Financial advisors never saw that coming. 6. Original Game Boy consoles. Nintendo released the Game Boy in 1989, and it became one of the most successful handheld gaming devices in history. That chunky gray brick with its green tinted screen was a staple of road trips and waiting rooms throughout the early 90s. Kids burned through batteries at an alarming rate, trying to beat one more level. 4 AA's I'll never forget. Even Game Boys in fair condition sell for $25 to $50 today. Get closer to mint condition, and the price jumps toward $1,000. Special editions like the Game Boy Light and unique color variants are particularly valuable. Factory sealed Game Boy units command the highest prices among collectors who want pristine examples. The portability that made them so popular also meant most got played to death. Finding one that wasn't scratched, dropped, or filled with dead batteries required serious luck. And trust me, everyone lost that battery cover. I know I did. 5. Sealed NES games. The video game industry nearly died in 1983. Atari flooded the market with garbage, consumers lost interest, and retailers refused to stock anything with the joystick. Then, Nintendo showed up with the NES and convinced everyone to give gaming another shot. Original games for this console have become serious collector items, especially those still in sealed packaging. The cardboard boxes and plastic wrap that kids tore through without thinking are now worth fortunes. Even opened games are valuable if they include the original cartridge, box, and instruction manuals. Unopened NES games fetch the highest prices. Sealed copies of Wrecking Crew from 1985 go for over $5,000. The Flintstones from 1994 sells for around $4,000. Stadium Events is one of the rarest, and sealed copies have cleared $40,000. The kids who asked for these games as gifts and never opened them made accidentally brilliant decisions. 4. Original 1959 Barbie. Barbie debuted in 1959 wearing her classic striped swimsuit and perky ponytail. That first edition doll cost just $3 at the time. Parents bought them as simple toys for their daughters without any thought of future value. The doll sparked controversy from the start. Some parents thought her figure was inappropriate for children. Others embraced her as a symbol of independence and ambition. The very first Barbie, in mint condition with her original box, sold for over $27,000 at auction. Even first editions in good condition regularly sell for tens of thousands of dollars, depending on completeness and wear. Mattel estimates there are more than 100,000 Barbie collectors around the world, and the resurgence in popularity after the 2023 Barbie movie has only pushed prices higher. 3. 1964 G.I. Joe Action Soldier. The original G.I. Joe was introduced in 1964 as the first action figure, and it changed the toy industry forever. The 12-inch figure with realistic uniforms and accessories became hugely popular with boys who previously had few options beyond toy soldiers. Hasbro deliberately avoided calling it a doll, knowing that marketing mattered. Early versions can fetch thousands today, and the rarest pieces in unopened boxes are highly coveted by serious collectors. A G.I. Joe Navy SEAL figure, one of the rare prototypes, sold for more than $200,000 at auction in 2003. That price tag puts it among the most valuable toys ever sold. The figure that launched an entire industry turned out to be worth a small fortune. 2. Sealed original Super Mario Bros. Original copies of Super Mario Bros. For the NES are legendary among gamers and collectors, and a sealed edition takes the value into completely different territory. The game defined an entire generation of gaming and introduced millions of kids to the Mushroom Kingdom. These untouched cartridges, still in their original packaging, are incredibly rare because the 1985 release was mass-produced for immediate play. Kids ripped them open without hesitation. Nobody thought about keeping the shrink wrap intact. Some examples have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. One particularly pristine copy reached a mind-blowing $2 million at auction. The condition of the seal in the box determines whether a copy is worth a car or a house. The value skyrockets if the seal is intact and the box shows minimal wear. Storage conditions over the decades matter enormously. 1. 1909 T206 Honus Wagner baseball card. And finally, for our number one spot, we have the holy grail of childhood collectibles. Johannes Peter Honus Wagner is widely considered one of baseball's greatest players, but his fame extends far beyond the diamond thanks to a rare trading card that became legendary. Produced by the American Tobacco Company in the early 1900s, the card's circulation was cut short. Wagner likely objected to tobacco promotion or wanted payment for the endorsement. Either way, production stopped before many cards reached the public. Fewer than 100 known examples exist today. By the 30s, this was already the most valuable baseball card in existence. Collectors have obsessed over it for nearly a century. A PSA 5 example, which is a mid-grade condition rating from Professional Sports Authenticator, sold for $3.12 million in 2016. Kids who collected these cards over a century ago had no idea they were holding something that would eventually be worth more than most houses. Turns out your mom was right about taking care of your stuff this whole time, and none of us listened. If any of this made you want to dig through your parents' attic this weekend, let me know what you find in the comments. For more reasons to regret throwing things away, click here for 25 vintage toys worth a fortune today. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'm gonna go look through all my old stuff. I don't know where my Game Boy is.